Let's watch this Kizaru video real quick, man. Cause it's
Or
only 13
Blackbeard
minutes.
before him. Kizaru is an elaborate, carefully constructed puzzle box of a character that, no matter how closely you look at, always seems to be missing some essential pieces to reveal its full picture. This shouldn't come as a big surprise, since he only has received very.
You know what's funny about Kizaru? Like, although he was the first admiral we seen, if I'm not getting that, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like he's the one that we know least of, and that they talk like, you know how like Aokiji and Akainu, they went head to head, right? So we kind of understand their play in the story. Like Aokiji probably a good guy, right? Akainu not. Kizaru, like, yeah, we know he's a one of the dogs in the military, and he could fight. He's part of the one of the admirals, but I feel like there's still not enough. Aokiji was the first. Okay, my fault. Aokiji, yeah, you're right, because of the whole ice shit. Aokiji was the first, but Kizaru was the one. I feel like, for me at least, Kizaru was the nigga that put fear in niggas' heart in terms of who. Zofrio, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for reselling. I love you, man. I feel like Kizaru was the one that put the fear, in my heart on where, like, the dangers of the admiral. It was like, yeah, we seen it with Aokiji, right? I did see that, but like Kizaru in Sabodi, how like we got introduced to like the supernovas, or like the worst generation. These niggas are badass, and he comes in and whoops everybody's ass, and he's doing some damage, and it took a legend in Rayleigh to come even stop him, right? And I feel like there's more to learn about Kizaru and how his importance of a character is gonna play, what kind of importance is gonna play in the future. I feel like, if that makes sense. Like I just like Kizaru, motherfucker. But let me make this a little bigger. I still want to have my Discord open, you feel me?
very limited screen time in the story so far. Thoughtfully planned character development, after all, is one of the most crucial parts in creating a vivid and capturing storyline. And as we know, what is most needed for genuine and organic character development is especially one thing: time. So one would think that having only limited screen time for such an enormous cast as One Piece would be a striking disadvantage, resulting in shallow characters with little room for emotional involvement. And yet, it's exactly characters like Kizaru, Shanks, or Blackbeard that have readers most excited.
Boom!
So,
Kizaru is one of the people that have you the most excited. Like, and that I still feel that way, because we got so much of Aokiji, we got so much of Akainu, but and then we're getting like Green Bull, and then we got even more of Fujitora, right? But like when in terms of like into the mind of the admiral, we don't have. I feel like we don't really have that for Kizaru. Like, you know, if that does that make sense to you guys? Like, I feel like we really don't have that for Kizaru. Alright, we don't have that. We don't have that for Bull, right? We don't have that for Green Bull, but he just got introduced. But like the fact that he's getting his own huge ass fight right now, and we still need to learn about more Kizaru. Like, yeah, we exactly. Unknown said it right. We don't know his intentions, and that's really what I'm trying to say, right? Because we know Fujitora, we know Aokiji, although he's with Blackbeard. You know, we don't know. We think he's like undercover, so to speak, right? But we know he's a good guy. We know Akainu was not. We know Akainu would do the most to exact his justice. You know what I'm saying? But Kizaru, no.
So, what is the secret behind this apparent paradox? The answer to that is simple. Oda is a master of mystery. He takes the apparent handicap of certain characters in the story and turns it into a strength. He makes use of every single panel that this character is shown in to flesh out a certain image for his audience. However, compared to characters with more screen time, he doesn't give them slow, organic growth over time, but much rather he hands us little pieces of information about that person. Based on these pieces, you can then create a rough image of the character in your mind. However, these pieces can be turned and rearranged.
I love how he's
in
using
ways,
Shanks for
and
that, because
thus
that's
allow
exactly
for
who
different
Shanks is.
interpretations and perspectives. A great example for this are all the small pieces we have gathered for Blackbeard. Many of them are so different that you can puzzle together various possible images for his character. In some scenes, he seems to be goofy. In others, he seems cruel. And in again others, he seems straight out scared. This impression of inconsistency is complemented by his mysterious power to consume multiple devil fruits, as well as by his ambition to become...
And I'm totally convinced that Blackbeard has two other brothers, and all three of them niggas is Blackbeard. I'm totally convinced on that. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure everybody is too. Everybody else is too. But I just want to throw that out there.
Pirate King. It is really barely more than a handful of clues about who Blackbeard truly is, and yet he might be the most heatedly discussed character in the entire series. The same applies to Shanks, about whom we also only hold tiny bits and pieces. And of course, one of the characters that can't be left out of this list is Kizaru.
Woo! The best fucking admiral, nigga. Don't come for him. If my hair wasn't growing back, that would be my twin, bro. Let's get it.
Being the admiral that we know by far the least about, with the exception of Ryokugyo, of course, Kizaru is a prime example of how Oda manages to create amazing characters by only giving them a basic set of traits and leaving the rest ambiguous and unclear. How fitting then that Kizaru follows the path of unclear justice. And even though there only is so much that we know about his personality and role in the story, Oda has left us enough pieces of the puzzle to allow us to figure out what it means. So in this video, we will try to put together the purpose Kizaru has in the story of One Piece.
Shout out to my guy Ohara, man. Ohara, if you ever get one of my videos sent to you, man, I love your videos. I wish I could break shit down like you do. We always end up watching an Ohara video. I love this guy.
And to do so, we will answer the most crucial questions surrounding his character. What is unclear justice? Before we can look at his ideological concept of morality and justice, however, we first have to understand who Kizaru is as a person. Same as his fellow admirals, Borsalino Kizaru is based on a famous Japanese actor. Thus, his conceptual design is heavily based on a character played by actor Kunie Tanaka in his youth.
You know what's crazy? I always thought Borsalino Kizaru was supposed to be like a mobster or some shit. Like Borsalino. So I thought his character was always like mafioso. That's why I always felt like I didn't know it was based on a Japanese actor. And when I see this guy looks just like this actor, which is wild to me. Wow.
Beside their strikingly similar lineaments, their similarities include Kizaru's outfit, his birthday, and even his real name, Borsalino. The epithet Kizaru he acquired when rising into the ranks of the admirals. Same as with his colleagues, this epithet consists of a color and an animal. In Kizaru's case, this is Ki for yellow and Zaru for monkey, making him the yellow monkey. Accordingly, Sakazuki is Akainu, the red dog, while Kuzan is Aokiji, the blue pheasant. Oda chose these animals based on the famous folktale of Momotaro, who befriended a pheasant, a dog, and a monkey to accompany him on his journey. Next to his very interesting visual and contextual design, Kizaru is with...
Yo, we definitely gonna check out that story. because I feel like if we do, we'll know more about Kizaru's character, which I'm pretty sure Ohara will dive into a little more.
Without a doubt, also one of the most powerful characters in the world of One Piece. In fact, based on his devil fruit, it is actually quite hard to determine how strong he might actually be. After all, being light itself would easily make him the fastest character in the story.
Yeah.
Additionally, if Oda were to be more or less physically accurate with this fruit, it would most likely also make him the most overpowered character.
Exactly. Imagine an awakening with Kizaru. Like, what does that even look like, and what does that even do? Does that mean you just die? If there's sunlight, do you just die? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the shit that makes me think, like, he could be everywhere. He could be, like, you know what I'm saying? What the hell can he do? He's gonna make shit bright? That's not how his power works. He can move anywhere. But he could already kind of do that, right? Like, because he's light itself. You can travel at the speed of light. So I feel like he's just, I don't know. I don't even know what that means, bro.
However, we can assume that there are certain limitations to that power. Nonetheless, we have never seen Kizaru really go all out before, so we don't really know what he might truly be capable of. Accordingly, we also do not know a lot about Borsalino's past. There is a single image of him as a child, suggesting him to be rather kind and smart while brooding over a pile of books. We know that he joined the Marines at a young age, around the same time as Sakazuki, and similar to his peer, he quickly rose through the ranks and reached the status of a vice admiral at a fairly young age. The only thing that we know about his time then is that he was the one responsible for capturing Arlong after Fisher Tiger's death. Small fun fact regarding this panel here, the hat that Kizaru is wearing here is actually called a Borsalino, which is the name of Italy's oldest manufacturer of luxury hats. See, we're learning stuff about the world while talking about One Piece. Isn't that fun? Moving on. The most defining arc for Kizaru's character is undoubtedly Sabaody, where he is sent after Luffy's attack on one of the Tenryubito.
That's the best arc.
While he has no problem taking on the entirety of the worst generation on his own, he doesn't manage to catch even a single one of them in the end, being hindered by Rayleigh's and Kuma's interception in his pursuit. And despite being one of the strongest forces present during the war at Marineford, and taking on the likes of Whitebeard and Marco single-handedly, he doesn't play any major role in the war's outcome. What really stands out about Kizaru's character, therefore, are not his actions, but much rather his personality.
And I think it's not really so his personality, right? I think it's his lack of getting things done. Because I feel like Akainu, his mind was, yo, we gotta kill Ace no matter what. That was his mindset. He got it done. Aokiji, we see, was a good guy. They kind of disputed the direction that the Marines wanted to go, the Navy wanted to go. You know what I'm saying? Because his viewpoints are completely opposite of what Akainu was. Therefore, Aokiji loses the fight. He leaves, right? Kizaru, although he was there for Sabaody, right? Supposed to capture some of these newbies, right? He doesn't. War of the Best doesn't really do anything either besides fight, but like even when he does fight, it wasn't that crazily effective. So it almost like shows that he's the middle of the road. You know what I'm saying? Like, does he actually want to get things done, or is he just following orders? And that's why I feel like in the end he might play a significance in where the tide of the battle swings. It's like somebody as strong as somebody that can control light. You know what I'm saying? Light itself. Maybe he is the person that shines light on who's gonna determine the final. How the battle was gonna end, or the truth, the light. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like his devil fruit being light is not. It was on purpose. It wasn't just because it's a cool power. I think Kizaru is supposed to shed light on the truth, and maybe that's how it'll play out in the future. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not gonna lie, it's one of my favorites in the story so far. Oda depicts Kizaru as an easygoing and laid-back person, In fact, he is so laid back that at times he appears to be slow in his reactions and almost slothful, which has resulted in a number of stoner jokes surrounding his character. And you guys better put some good ones in the comments. What makes Kizaru a true favorite of mine, however, is the fact that he's one of the rare characters in the story that has a genuinely sarcastic nature. He often talks about how scary or shocking a situation is, but completely lacks the
And ain't it crazy how he's actually in turn an actor? Like, he's a famous Japanese actor, is what Ohara said. So I feel like that's important to note too, because he really could be acting, right? This role of being one of the dogs in the military, but indeed he's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's playing this role, and that's why he never really gets anything done, because he's, you know what I'm saying, he's really for another side, which we don't know what it is yet. All admirals are actors? Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Corresponding facial expression. In my personal opinion, characters with a sarcastic take on things are immensely entertaining. However, they are quite hard to write and convey to a general audience, which is why they are so rarely found inside the shonen genre. As a result, this trait gives Kizaru an air of cleverness and sharpness in comparison to other characters that take everything at face value. This impression is complemented by his cool composure. No matter how intense a situation might be, he always appears to be in control of his emotions. To the reader, this conveys a strong sense of confidence in his own abilities. We can see this in his absent-mindedness during battle, not fearing any damage, as well as in his lack of awareness for collateral damage. Despite his immense battle strength, but maybe in connection to his laid-back personality, Kizaru seems to lack personal ambition. Not only is he the only one of the former 3 admirals that didn't aspire to become Fleet Admiral, he also seems to have no interest in authority in general. He doesn't like giving orders, but prefers receiving them. And we can even see him taking directions from Sentomaru, one of his own subordinates. Nonetheless, Kizaru is deeply respected within the ranks of the Marines. His most defining trait, however, might be his fearlessness. Not only does
he goes into battle without really even thinking, and he's so like it's almost like it's effortless. He's never really afraid of dying, and Blackbeard having a dark fruit and him having a light fruit, it has to mean something, bro. But like, he's right what he's saying.
Borsalino take on Whitebeard and the entire worst generation by himself, but he even offers to go to Wano and confront Kaido and Big Mom on his own.
Wow.
Something that even Akainu is reluctant to do.
Wow.
Now, as mentioned before,
when did he do
all
that?
these puzzle pieces give us a rough image of Kizaru's character. However, we still lack the full image. For instance, we have no idea what Kizaru actually values, or what his great desire and drive is.
Exactly.
We just can't see it yet. It's all still unclear. What we do know, however, is that Kizaru shares neither Akainu's sense of absolute justice and hate toward pirates, nor Kuzan's kind and forgiving nature.
Exactly.
He much rather appears like an old teacher that intervenes and lectures when necessary, but stays out of everyone's business otherwise. We even see him specifically targeting Luffy during Marineford to lecture him about the gap between him and those on the battlefield. So, based on these insights we've gathered
interesting.
Now, let's deconstruct
the fact that he lectures Luffy. I feel like it almost seems like when he compares it to a teacher, it makes me feel like something like you're just an expert on how things work in the time that you grew up. It's a new time, and I feel like teachers aren't reluctant to learn new things. So I feel like in the end he will convert, if that makes sense. In the teacher comparison, if we're talking like teachers, that's how I think of a teacher, at least. Yeah, the hair's growing back.
what the concept of unclear justice actually means, and what it tells us about Kizaru's role in the story. Based on his personality and the construction of his character, I would argue that there are three distinct interpretations of Kizaru's concept of unclear justice. The first one of these is rather straightforward. Kizaru's justice is unclear because he often seems indecisive and without directions in decisions and objectives he makes.
Yep.
Back on Sabaody, for instance, he immediately delays his mission to look for Sentomaru. Once Sentomaru contacts him, he goes back to looking for Luffy before once again getting sidetracked by the other supernova. Once he defeats them, however, he doesn't bother to capture them, but once again leaves to find the Straw Hats, finally ending up not capturing anyone, but sacking 500 other pirates instead. It is quite possible that this stems from his sense of invincibility, which makes you wonder how powerful Kizaru truly is if he's able to be this unfocused in his actions. His way of decision making lacks a clear direction and strive as Akainu and Aokiji do, which makes it unclear. And speaking of his two fellow admirals, this brings us to the second way of looking at his justice. Because it's especially unclear when put between the two extremes that are Akainu and Aokiji. Kizaru's justice is unclear because it falls on neither side of the spectrum. He neither follows Sakazuki's absolute justice, that is built on hatred towards all pirates and militaristic strictness, nor Kuzan's lazy justice, that is based on morality and fairness. Instead, as the Sabaody example shows really well, Borsalino's sense of justice seems to be movable on the scale between red and blue. Trying to capture the Straw Hats, failing, but then capturing 500 other pirates in the process shows us how his sense of justice sways between thoroughness and fairness in one go.
Boom.
While it might be very easy to agree with one of the extreme positions, Kizaru might actually be the admiral that is the most objective out of the three. Being neither unnecessarily cruel nor unnecessarily forgiving, Kizaru can be seen as the balanced middle between Akainu and Kuzan. Now, obviously, this doesn't take into account how flawed and unjust the political structure of the One Piece world truly is, which might arguably make Kuzan's path more justified, at least for me personally. But based on the assumption that the Marines are actually supposed to be a neutral organization in the service of the people, Kizaru would bring the necessary flexibility and objectivity in his actions. The thing is
so
that
he
we don't
does a
know
perfect
what
job in
ideals Kizaru
staying,
follows
remaining
and what
kind of
his
neutral.
dream for the world is. Which already brings us to the last meaning of unclear justice. Oda deliberately keeps Kizaru's true nature unclear for us to see. We still miss a few decisive pieces of the puzzle to truly understand who Kizaru is as a person. So I'm fairly confident that Kizaru will still have to play a major role in the future of the story. And once we will learn more about him, we might also get a better picture of him. Maybe, in the end, his unclear justice will turn into clear justice after all.
Oh man, I thought he was gonna go a little more. I feel like he said the same shit I was saying before the video. Before I watched the video, just in 13 minutes, and he elaborated a little more.